You step out of the shower and you look down, and there it is again, that dark little tangle of hair sitting on the drain, waiting for you. You don't even count it anymore. You just push it aside with your foot and try not to think about it. Then you stand up at the mirror under that hard bathroom light, the worst light in the whole house, and you tilt your head just a little. You already know the spot, right there at the crown, where the scalp shows through more than it did last year. And you think, when did that happen? Now, I'm going to tell you about a spice. Costs about $2. It's probably in your kitchen cabinet right now, 3 feet from where you're standing. And in India, they've been using it on the scalp for 200 years. The industry has known about it since at least the 1970s. And by the 1980s, they made sure you'd never hear about it. Let me tell you who I am first, because you should know before you take a word of this seriously. My name's Frank Moretti, third-generation barber. My grandfather Joe opened Moretti's barbershop in 1946, came home from the war and put his name over the door. My father Sal ran the chair through the 50s and 60s. I swept the hair off that floor when I was 10 years old, got my license in 1974, and I stood behind that chair for 50 years until I hung it up in 2022. More than 100,000 heads have passed under my hands. And now that I'm retired, I can finally say the things a working barber never could. So let's talk about what this is costing you, because it's costing you more than you think. The average man losing his hair spends somewhere between $200 and $500 a year chasing it. Special shampoos, that purple bottle you'd recognize from any pharmacy shelf. Foams, pills, little serums with droppers that promise the world and deliver a wet pillow. Added up over 10 years, and you've spent the price of a decent used car on bottles that emptied and got thrown away. But here's the thing, it's not really about the money, is it? It's the hat you started wearing indoors. It's the way you angle your head in every photograph now, or how you just stop being in photographs at all. It's the barber turning you toward the mirror and you looking away fast. In a survey of 2,000 men, 94% said going bald was their single biggest fear about aging, not death, not money. Their hair, 94%, not half, not 60, 94. And a man losing his hair looks 10 years older than he is, and he feels it every single morning. Now stay with me until the end, because near the end of this, I'm going to read you the exact page out of my father's notebook where this is written down. Page 41 in pencil, dated the spring of 1958. He wrote one line about this spice that I've never forgotten, and I'll read it to you word for word. But first I want to take you back into that shop, because you need to understand the world that already knew all this. Walk into Moretti's on a Saturday morning in 1955. The air is thick with bay rum and hot lather. There's a steam cabinet in the corner full of towels my father wrapped around a man's face till it turned pink. Boar bristle brushes lined up on the counter like soldiers, little brown bottles of witch hazel and friction tonics. And every man, every single man, when he sat in that chair, got more than a haircut. He got a scalp treatment, and he didn't even know that's what it was. My father would finish the cut, and then he'd pour a little tonic into his palms, rub them together to warm it, and go to work on that man's scalp. Not a gentle pat, a real working of the scalp. Fingertips digging in small circles front to back, all the way around for a good 3-4 minutes. You could hear it. That friction sound, men would nearly fall asleep in the chair. And when they stood up, the scalp was flushed pink and warm and alive. Now on the shelf, you had wild root cream oil, you had Vitalis, you had Brill cream, the whole parade, a little dab will do you. Good scenery, all of it. But the real work was in my father's hands and in those tonic bottles, some of which he mixed himself in the back room from formulas his own father brought over. And here's what 50 years behind that chair teaches you that no doctor learns in a classroom. You watch the same heads for decades. You watch a man from 30 to 65, and you start to notice things. The men who came in every couple of weeks, who got that scalp work, chair after chair, year after year, they kept their hair longer. Their scalp stayed loose and mobile, not tight and shiny like a drum. I'm not a doctor, I'm a barber. But I've seen more scalps than any doctor ever will. And I saw the difference with my own 2 eyes, thousands of times over. So let me tell you why it works. Because there's real science under this, and it's simpler than they want you to believe. Male pattern hair loss comes down mostly to one thing: a hormone called DHT. Your body makes it from testosterone, and in men who are sensitive to it, DHT slowly shrinks the hair follicle. The follicle doesn't die all at once. It miniaturizes. Each cycle, it grows back a little thinner, a little shorter, a little weaker, until the hairs coming out are those fine, wispy, colorless things you can barely see. Over half of all men show this pattern by age 50, roughly 35 million men in this country. So if it's you, you are not alone, not by a long shot. Now think of the scalp like soil, and think of the follicle like a plant rooted in that soil. Two things kill a garden: bad chemistry in the ground, that's your DHT, and no water reaching the roots, that's your blood flow. When the scalp gets tight and starved, when the little vessels feeding those follicles narrow down, the follicle sits there in dry, hard ground. It doesn't get the nutrients it needs to push out a strong hair. And here's where our spice comes in, because there's a whole family of natural compounds that do two things at once. They gently interfere with that DHT process at the scalp, and they widen the blood vessels and bring circulation roaring back to the roots. There's a randomized trial published in 2015 in a journal called Skin Med Panahai and his colleagues. 100 patients over 6 months. They put rosemary oil head-to-head against minoxidil 2%, the standard drug, and the rosemary held its own. Comparable hair count increase after 6 months. And here's the kicker: less scalp itching in the rosemary group. 100 patients, 6 months. Comparable to the drug. That's not folklore. That's a controlled trial. The same principle runs right through the kitchen spice I'm going to give you. Something that warms the scalp, opens the flow, and works against the very hormone that's shrinking your follicles. Soil and water. Fix the soil, bring back the water. So why did this vanish? Why is a barber telling you this instead of your pharmacy? Let me give you the timeline. Right up through the 1960s, a man went to the barber, and the scalp ritual came free with the cut. That was the model for 100 years. Then a few things happened close together. Daily hair washing only became an American habit in the 1970s. Before that, once, maybe twice a week, that was normal. Somebody figured out that if they could convince every man in America to wash his hair every single day, they could sell him a bottle every few weeks instead of every few months. That's a lot of bottles. Then in 1988, a blood pressure pill got approved for hair loss and put in a foam. In 1997, another pill, both of them, and read this part carefully, both of them require you to use them forever. You stop, you lose what you gained. And both take 4 to 6 months just to show anything. So now you've got a monthly bottle economy. Serums, foams, pills, the whole machine, and every piece of it is designed to empty and be refilled. And the barber's scalp ritual, that free thing my father did with his hands, it got left behind. Not because it stopped working, it worked the whole time. It's still working right now in barbershops in other parts of the world. It got left behind because it couldn't be put in a bottle and sold to you every single month. You can't patent a spice that costs $2 and grows in a field. There's no margin in your grandmother's cabinet. The dry shampoo market alone is around $4 billion a year, and they expect it to double by 2030. That's just one shelf. Now you understand. Now I want to talk to the man who's been watching his hairline crawl backward for years already. The one thinking, Frank, that's a nice story, but I'm too far gone for a spice. Stay with me, because this next part is specifically for you. As long as you can still see any fine, wispy hair in the thinning areas, even colorless fuzz, those follicles are alive, miniaturized, not dead, and a live follicle you can feed. This is exactly for you. So here's the spice. Rosemary is the one from the trial, but the $2 kitchen powerhouse from the Indian tradition, the one they've used for 200 years, is fenugreek. Those little hard mustard yellow seeds you find in any grocery store. Methi, they call it. Bag of it, about $2, and it'll last you months. Here's exactly what to do. Take 2 tablespoons of fenugreek seeds and soak them in water overnight, 10, 12 hours, till they go soft and slippery. In the morning, grind them into a paste with just enough water to make it spreadable. Now take 3 tablespoons of a carrier oil, coconut or olive oil if that's what you've got. Warm it gently, just warm, not hot. and stir it into the paste. If you want the rosemary in there too, and I do it, add about 5 drops of rosemary essential oil, no more. Never put essential oil straight on your skin undiluted, always in the carrier. Now, here's the part my father would recognize. Don't just smear it on and sit there. Work it in. Fingertips, small circles, real pressure but not clawing, front hairline back to the crown, all the way around for 4 full minutes. That friction's doing half the job, bringing the blood up. Then leave the paste on for 30 to 45 minutes. Rinse it out with plain warm water or a very mild shampoo if you must. Do this 2-3 times a week, not every day. 2 or 3. The whole thing costs you pennies a session once you bought the bag and the oils. Write it down. 2 tablespoons fenugreek soaked overnight. 3 tablespoons warmed oil. 5 drops rosemary. 4 minutes of massage. 40 minutes on. 2 or 3 times a week. Now here's the honesty you won't hear from anyone selling you something. This will not bring a dead follicle back from nothing. Nobody can. If your crown is bare and shiny with no fuzz at all, this is not going to grow a forest there, and any man who tells you otherwise is reaching for your wallet. What this does is protect and thicken what you still have and feed the follicles that are struggling but alive. And it takes time. Nothing, and I mean nothing, shows before 8 to 12 weeks. Hair grows slow. You will not see a difference in the mirror next week. You've got to give it 3 months honestly before you judge it. A few more things, because I care about your health more than your hairline. This sits alongside whatever your doctor has you on. If you're on a prescription, do not stop it. Add this next to it. Don't swap it. Patch test first. Always a little on the inside of your forearm. Wait a day. Make sure your skin's happy. And if your hair is falling out suddenly in patches or coming out fast in clumps, that's a different animal entirely. That's a dermatologist's job, and you go see one. This is for the slow, steady, ordinary thinning that most men get. Let me tell you about one man, Danny. Came to my chair for 30 years. When he hit about 48, his crown started going, and he was miserable about it, kept his cap on in the shop till I made him take it off. I told him about the fenugreek, wrote it on the back of a receipt for him. He grumbled, said his wife was going to think he'd lost his mind, stinking up the bathroom with soaked seeds, but he did it 2-3 times a week, and he was honest. Said nothing happened for 2 months, and he almost quit. Then around month 4, he came in, sat down, took the cap off himself, and just looked at me in the mirror. The crown wasn't full again, but it had filled in. The bare patch had fuzz, and the fuzz had gone darker, thicker. He didn't say much. Danny never did. He just nodded at me in the glass. That nod told me everything. Now, I promised you a page. Let me get it. My father's notebook, the leather one, the cover's cracked now, and the spine's held with tape. Page 41. This was, the spring of 1958. He dated it in pencil right in the corner, and the pencil's gone silver gray now, but you can still read it. He's got the fenugreek soak written out, the oil, the amounts, and then underneath, in that tight little slanted hand of his, one line, and I'll read it to you exactly the way he wrote it. Feed the ground and the roots will hold. The bottle men will never tell you this, so a barber must. The bottle men. He wrote that in 1958. He already knew what was coming. He watched it happen the rest of his life, the ritual getting pushed out, the shelves filling up, and he wrote it down in pencil so it wouldn't be lost. It nearly was. So here's the truth of the whole thing. The knowledge didn't disappear. It just stopped being profitable to teach you. That's all. It never stopped working. It stopped making anybody rich, so it went quiet. And a $2 bag of seeds sat forgotten in the back of the cabinet while men spent fortunes on foam. Now do me a favor. Tell me in the comments, what did your father or your grandfather use on his hair? What was in that bottle on his shelf? The one you remember the smell of. I read every one of these and I love hearing them. And subscribe, because next time I'm opening this notebook to a page most men have never heard of. The nighttime scalp trick my father did on himself every evening before bed. The one that kept a full head of hair on a man into his 80s. $2 again. And it's on page 53. I'll see you then.